Skrill Boys, TGT, and Vids. Now it's 2023.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hi.
Happy New Year, my fellas.
Welcome to Skrill Boys, TGD, and Bits.
Today, my loyal friends, today we are talking about something special, rare, and even centripetal. But forget all those things, because that's not what we're talking about. Today we are talking about the MCU. Yeah. Hot smoke. Need I mention more? It's a mess. Well, Phase 4 is at least. Well, you see, I just don't feel the same way when it comes to films like, like those in Phase 3 or, like pre multiverse saga. But the one, if you were to ask me, which one do you hate the most? It'd be Eternals. Yep, Eternals. Yeah. What you're looking at right now, it's a preview for 2021's Eternals. Now, why should I be the one that's caring? Well, just that I just don't care for this movie. I mean, like, I respect its ambition, but I just don't get it. I mean, like, you look at a movie like Iron Man, and it has its purpose. It fulfills the purpose of the origin movie. This movie just it just falls flat on its face for that goal. You want to know why? Because it has the need to, like, once like the first like 4 to 5 minutes are done, like, it just decides to go to the modern day, like, show the rest of this. Like, why are you like doing flashbacks when we should be getting at a story here? It just falls flat on its face with the origin part. It just falls flat on its face with that plan. And even if you just like fix it with just like making the flashbacks the entire movie, then how are you then really how does this go forward? Because these characters, well, you don't really want to care for these characters because you've never met them before. And plus, you never heard of them until now. You're like, I respect what James Gunn did with the Guardians, but the other, like any other origin movie, with the exception of Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, like the first couple movies, Captain Marvel fell flat on its face with like unexperienced talent and a lackluster story. Like, it was mediocre because of that. And Eternal suffers from those same issues. Well, yeah, we all suffer. Like the deviants. We suffer in this hell that Marvel created. And we're just living in it. We are just living in it. What's the whole, big deal about this? Well, it all has to do with the fact that although you can fix Eternals, it just is going to be a lackluster movie in the end. Why? Because it will still have a limited audience. It will still be a box office bomb. I mean, like, also, can we just talk about like the overuse of CGI? Like, I get why like the CGI, like the CGI team for Marvel, like it I mean, like, I know what it means by, like, overworking a CGI artist. I mean, like, you you have, like, animating, like, full, like, physical creatures and, like, CGI stunts and stuff like this. And the finale is just, like, a big CGI, like, failure. Like, why bother? Why the bloody hell bother? Sorry for my language. This is for kids. This is for everyone. Who am I kidding? But you know what? You know, instead of just fixing this, how about we just replace Eternals? Like, get rid of it. What do you mean by that? Well, well, basically, there's this one guy who did a video about rewriting Phase 4. Not pre-writing, rewriting. And he talked about the concept of just removing Eternals. And that's a good idea. But what would you replace it with? What would I replace this film with? Well, I would replace it with Wiccan and Speed. And here's how. So, a week later, yeah, there's gonna be time skips in this. But I won't keep progressively telling you that, but how would I write a Wiccan and Speed movie? Well, first of all, we gotta start from scratch. Like, remove Eternals. Like, you're in the meeting for Phase 4. You're like, okay, so we need to introduce new characters while also continuing the story we have. A la like this is like a refresh. Like, hit the refresh button. So what do you do? Well, you honest well, the biggest solution is why not make the majority of Phase 4 movies origin movies? And they're like, that's wonderful. And of course, you have like Shang-Chi and that stuff. But then you have like the second one. And Marvel's pitching, hear this out, guys, Eternals. However, I would say that wouldn't have the same brand recognition as an Avengers movie. Like, that would just sound stupid, right? And turns out they agree with you. But let's just say Feige is not fully convinced yet. He's like, Wiccan and Speed, but they're going to be in WandaVision. Then you tell him why. One, people are already going to know them because A, you're you're getting these Disney Plus exclusive TV series on ABC and also premiering them in theaters, so that way everyone knows them. But also making sure that people do not have the fear of missing out. Then it would also explain that it would that'd be kind of like a film that I'll mention later. And third of all, third of all, it would really just be nice to see what a duo origin story would look like. I mean, like, him. If 2.5 Men can work as a solo series, then I'm pretty sure this movie can work. So now Feige is convinced, and he greenlights the project. Of course, he still has Eternals in the back of his mind, but of course, now we have enough time for Eternals to ripen. Like, we'll figure out the time when they need to come. So, so, my friends, what do we do then? Well, first of all, we gotta write a perfect story for this, and and we gotta pick from different movies. Second of all, we need cast members, returning characters, and new. And third of all, plot, setting, villain, and fourth, how is this going to connect into the grander MCU? So let's begin with step one. Well, actually, let's just actually start with the casting, which I'm pretty sure you're going to be surprised by. But there is one there is one that I'm pretty sure you're familiar with. So how their escapades along with the Vision to find the Scarlet Witch, and really really just also arriving for backup. But what about the Winter Soldier himself? Well, don't worry, Stacky will be reunited. That being Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. Stan Sebastian will play Sebastian Stan will play Cap's best friend, Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier. And of course, we'll serve somewhat of the same role as Sam Wilson. But of course, with a magnitude of magic like this, you of course need to call upon the former Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch will play the Sorcerer Supreme once again, but don't worry, the other sorcerer will be showing up soon. That is a tease, my friends. But other than that, Doctor Strange will play a minimal role like Sam and Bucky. But this is because that he will be currently dealing with Peter's misadventures in No Way Home. A little bit of connective tissue there, and a little bit of tease to what I'm about to say in the next segment. But since these are two characters from WandaVision, how about a character from WandaVision? Of course, Tiana Paris as Monica Rambeau, aka Spectrum. Oh, sorry, aka Spectrum or Photon, whatever you want to call her. Well, anyways, she's from WandaVision, and she got her powers specifically because of Wanda's hex. So she would immediately recognize the two as Wanda's children. And of course, much exposition later about the whole Westview thing, and you get the idea. But these six will not be the only returning cast members, as of course we have to get the person that started the Avengers Initiative out of the way, Nick Fury. Samuel L. Jackson returns as the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D., now S.W.O.R.D. But of course, wherever he goes, Colby Smulders, Maria Hill will also follow. Yep, Maria Hill will also somewhat still play somewhat of a role. However, this is going to depend on Secret Wars. It's going to depend on if they are the real Nick Fury and Maria Hill. It's really not going to be like is it the scroll version? Is it the real? I don't care. But of course, another returning cast member is Randall Park as Jimmy Woo. Not only is this close-up magic expert ready to once again to handle with superheroes, but he's also got some tricks up his sleeve. And I also do apologize, but I couldn't include her on here. But Darcy will be returning as well with some other familiar friends from Sword. I just couldn't put her on here. But speaking of new friends, how about Simu Liu as Shang-Chi? Yet again, another Avenger that encounters the Scarlet Witch. He has been interviewed by Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers. Shout out to her, considering that I couldn't fit her on here. Well, Simu would be, of course, this would be his first appearance outside of his own origin movie, which is sort of cool and well, banger. But as I just mentioned, the Hulk himself, Mark Ruffalo, well, Bruce Banner really, will be returning, and he'll be back to his green self, good old green self. Yet again, it's kind of a tough decision to contradict where all this stuff is heading. So really, She-Hulk, just a little quick rundown of the timeline of Phase 4. Shang-Chi takes place in fall of 2023. Well, Shang-Chi's main story plot. She-Hulk takes place somewhere in that fall area, but then like the first couple episodes, and then it expands into spring of 2024. Considering that, well, Blonsky's retreat is that's a surprise for later, my friends. That Blonsky's house of sorts, meditation area, is blossoming with the pinkest of flowers, which only appear during the spring harvest. So by that time, Hulk would be back to his green old self and back from Sakaar. And also this would mean that This would be somewhere. And also this would be before he would go to Sakaar to get Scar. That almost rhymed. So he would be there to deal with Wanda. But this wouldn't be a Maximoff family reunion without Pietro, aka Quicksilver. Aaron Taylor Johnson returns to play Pietro. Now, before I say how, because that's saved for the story, but I'll just do it anyways. But before we get into how Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is back, let's get back to the timeline, okay? Sorry for the sound effect. So Black Widow obviously takes place during Phase 3's Civil War time period, and oh yes, Shang-Chi appropriately takes place in the fall of 2023. Hawkeye takes place in Christmas of 2023. Spider-Man No Way Home takes place across from when everyone was blipped back into existence during the summer, which before school ended, and of course, it takes place throughout the summer, all that stuff, and then No Way Home takes place mostly throughout Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas. And yeah, you can fill in the gaps from there with that, but really, it's just a good old fashioned family fun. Thor Love and don't even get me started on Thor, Miss Marvel, which and Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, which Multiverse of Madness does take place like a mere month after Peter like erases everyone's memory of Peter Parker, considering that there's still leaves out, and probably takes place in November. And then considering that time works different in the multiverse, I don't know how much. So this movie would take place somewhere in that No Way Home, Hawkeye, like like back sort of time zone in which they would be going in. I'll make sure to make a Phase 4 timeline, sort of my official timeline. So don't you worry, don't you cry, baby. I will make it. I will make it for you all. But anyways, Miss Marvel takes place in the last months of school. Almost into the summer. What else is there? Am I forgetting? What else am I forgetting? Oh yes, the part where you were about. Oh yes, where does Thor: Love and Thunder take place? Well, I would say summer, considering that there's a lot of happy-go-lucky vacationers. And then, oh yes, Moon Knight. It actually takes place across the span of Phase 4. Just around the world. Of Oscar Isaac's character, as Oscar Isaac's Moon Knight takes part in his wacky antics with, well, himself. Basically, his inner emotions, while also dealing with the Egyptian innards of the MCU. Loki would take place right after Endgame, of course. No duh. WandaVision would take place right after Endgame when Vision's body was found, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier would also take place after Endgame, as well as the Black Widow post-credit scene. So that gives you a brief rundown of the Marvel Phase of my version of the Marvel Phase 4 timeline, that with all the movies fixed stuff, then good. But anyway, back to the cast members. More returning cast members. The godliest return yet. Of course, we have Chris Hemsworth as the God of Thunder himself. Oh, also mentioned when Black Panther and Werewolf by Night take place. But Chris Hemsworth, the godly God of Thunder himself, although away with the Guardians would reappear briefly thanks to Stormbreaker being an access to the Bifrost. And he would be curious if if Billy and Tommy are his grandchildren. After all, technically Thor birthed Vision in Age of Ultron, and then him and Wanda proceeded to make out and have kids. So technically Billy is part Thor, part Wanda. I don't know. It's a whole convoluted family timeline about how all the MCU characters are connected, but that is more convoluted than the MCU timeline itself. So let's get to the next character. I alluded to him earlier. Yep, Benedict Wong as the new Sorcerer Supreme. Wong. He would also appear along with Doctor Strange, but would be more of a presence and also teach Billy the way of the mystic arts and also how to harness his magic. It would sort of be similar to how Strange learned the way of the mystic arts in the first Doctor Strange movie. And yeah, really, that's his role. And the final cast member to appear in the film, Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye. Now, I also get it. Now, also, I want to mention the recent incident where Jeremy was almost killed in a snowplow accident. And pray, guys, please send prayer to Jeremy and his family. I really hope he's okay. I really do. Prayers to you, Jeremy. Make a speedy recovery. Anyways, this would be just he would just be in communication with the Avengers, although would be there to basically fight one last time and then go back to spend time with his family just in time for Christmas. And yeah. However, you notice that there are 2 slots left because we haven't accounted for the returning cast members in the post-credit scene. For the first one, in the mid-credit scene, speaking of Hawkeye, Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop, aka Hawkeye the Second. Yeah, I put a 2 there. Don't you worry. Steinfeld, of course, would be a planting seed, and she'd be basically forming the Young Avengers. Yeah, the post-credit scene would take place in the old Avengers Tower, and Haley's Kate Bishop would come up and basically ask them to join the a team she's assembling. Basically, this also takes place during Hawkeye, and of course after Christmas on the 26th of December. Hey, my birthday! Hey, my birthday! But she's not going to be the only returning cast member, because isn't this whole multiverse saga building up to a big bad? Yep. In the post-credit scene, Jonathan Majors, as his signature character, Kang the Conqueror, we will get our first full look at him in this movie. And he will even recruit a new character that I'll mention pretty soon. And of course, just to say this, just a minor note and a little bit of a heads up for my part 4 of me fixing the multiverse of madness. There will be a post-credit scene for Spider-Man No Way Home and Spider-Man not Spider. For Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness, where Kang is behind everything, and also the beacon of that Shang-Chi's rings emit would transport back to Kang as like a signal saying, it's almost time to get out of here. But honestly, that's pretty much it for our boy Kang the Conqueror. Now, of course, on to the main event. The two new cast members in the movie. Now, who will be playing Billy Kaplan, aka Wiccan, or really Billy Maximoff, whichever the name they're going with, and who will play Tommy Shepard or Tommy Maximoff, aka Speed? Well, I think you pretty much I think you pretty much know who I'm gonna pick for this guy. And yeah, it's gonna spark a lot of opinions. Mr. Dune himself, Timothy Chalamet. Yeah, Chalamet has not only proven himself in the limited span of acting that he's had, but also looks the part of playing a teenage boy who just happens to be one of the most powerful beings in all the multiverse. Basically, basically, Chalamet not only looks the part, but he also feels but he also sounds like the part, and I'm pretty sure that this movie could release before Dune. I'm thinking like a September release date. I'll talk all about this in my Fixing Phase 4 video, but this is all connected, just like the MCU. Ooh! And I don't want to get into costumes. That'd be a pain to do, considering that I don't have Photoshop. So just look at fan art and you get the idea. But who will be playing Billy's brother, Tommy? Well, we're expecting him. Colin Seifert. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. He not only has chops and of course the hair to play Tommy. I'm pretty sure he also has that well, you know. You know what I mean by that. Has that well, really fast, energetic side and also prankster side that we all know Tommy for in the comics. However, he also could have a dark past. And that past, of course, is well, of course, blowing up his school with his super speed abilities. So, not only do these two look the same, but I'm pretty sure they would make a great brother dynamic. But I know what you're saying. Is Wiccan going to be gay? And I would say no, considering that would limit the movie's audience. But I would slightly allude to it, but not fully. Like a slight little hint or peep. Not like, he's gay. So, yeah. But obviously, Speed is not gay. So, I'm moving on. Yep. You heard that. But he's going to be in the post-credit scene. That guy that I mentioned earlier. Yep. Chthon, Rider of the Darkhold. He would be the main big bad of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And if Chavez plays her cards right, she could be just like Strange and taking down a godly entity, but not with bronze, but with brains. He would be the one controlling Wanda and doing his bidding. However, it'd be really Kang behind the scenes. He would recruit Chthon to make sure Wanda does not break free of his control. And of course, sort of acts like Loki in 2012's The Avengers. But who would voice this on-screen monster? Well, I only could think of one guy to do that. The legendary Frank Welker has a booming voice. Not only is he responsible for the lion roars in The Lion King, but he's also responsible for the sole role that actually that actually made me choose him. The Cave of Wonders in Aladdin. A, he has a big bombastic voice and of course sounds very evil. Speaking of evil, he played Megatron in the old Transformers cartoons. Yet again, solidifying him as the role of, well, Cathan. Also, you can see him holding a Golden Globe, so this man's accomplished. But let's get into some of the icky gicky stuff before we talk about the plot and the story. Transition magic, activate!
Oh, time lapse happened, and as you can see, now you can hear me better. I now do not only have headphones, but also I have a microphone. But if you could not tell, well, now you can hear me better. Surprise! Mamacitas! Well, if the audio does go a little bit wonky, you can blame this here microphone for it. So, what is all the other stuff we need to talk about? Well, first of all, this movie's placement in the MCU timeline. Well, first of all, well, my depiction of Phase 4, like my version of it, like my version. Well, it would well, let's see here. It would definitely it definitely does would it still would not have Eternals. But it would still have Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder, and Wakanda Forever. However, I would have Shang-Chi released in a summer slot and Spider-Man keep it in its winter slot that it currently has. Doctor Strange, well, obviously no reshoots considering that we fixed that with the director and previous director of the first Doctor Strange movie. We sorted that out in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. But anyways, what next? Well, that's what we're gonna do here, folks. Okay, so Black Widow just straight up releases during Phase 3. Like that sets up like the whole Yelena Belova plot thread, and Phase 4 officially starts in 2020 with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think you can also mask Black Widow to come out during Phase 4, so that way it starts in 2019, and then you don't have to overlap. But hey, this is our channel, my channel, my rules. But I would, I would definitely have like I would definitely have like Black Widow's kickoff Phase 4 in 2019, considering that it would be the one that would be the closest one done, and yeah, would also make a profit more. And then we would have like 3 Marvel projects to keep ourselves satisfied with, instead of not having a Marvel content for like almost a year. Anyways, so what is so so when does this movie release? Well, 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 you see, there's also this little movie called Dune that releases in November, and it also stars Chalamet. However, I think if we put Wiccan and Speed in an in a Oc- August September slot, then that would give enough time for people to differentiate. Oh, like this is Chalamet, one of Chalamet's biggest roles. Like both of them are like his biggest roles yet, and yeah, I mean like yeah, I mean like come on. That fixes that. And what else? Oh yes, we would uh we would definitely have a we would definitely have a well, who am I kidding? I mean, like, Phase 4 would still go out the same way it was, but it would still be more better. The shows would not dominate the year, would not dominate the big little screen. I mean, like, I would have the shows like more spread out, like Loki releases in like May. Uh, What If releases in like um uh, September, and Hawkeye releases in November. Moon Knight releases in March of 2022, and Miss Marvel releases in June. Yeah. So, what is next? Well, obviously, She-Hulk. Push it back to like September or October. More better. September. September. Like the shows, like they have to be like set in their own universe, and then you can have then Wakanda Forever releases in November. Releases in November. Yeah, we're good. We are good. So that's like all the icky cookie stuff, like sorted out and all that stuff. So why don't we get into the plot of all this? Transition power activate. Yeah, another time skip, but hey, I'm I can't work. Duty calls. Okay, so let's finish this video off once and for all. So, the main reason why y'all came here is, what is the plot and story of Wiccan and Speed? Well, before we get into that, you're all familiar with Plot Mountain and all that stuff. Like, we're all at least familiar of Plot Mountain. Beginning, exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. We all get it in some way, shape, or form. Now, there is also a amount of media that is similar to this film that I could pull from. However, there's one film that stands out to me that we could really pull inspiration from, and you'll see why in a minute. Well, a second. Yes. Basically, The Parent Trap is a film about two siblings who has who have to reunite with their parents by switching places. Sound familiar? Not only is this somewhat the same plot I have for Wiccan and Speed, just with Marvel hijinks added in. It's just that, well, you just gotta appreciate the Disney version. And I do know that there is a 1960s version, but I'd rather prefer the 1998 version by Disney. Plus, it is more to my liking. So, first off, so we open on a basically it's like somewhat after WandaVision, but not really. By the way, Wanda is in her multiverse of madness attire, and she is basically trying to search for her children, like, following up the post-credit scene in WandaVision. But then all of the sudden, she feels a disturbance. Of course, then Then the Avengers arrive, or what we can assume is the Avengers. Of course, the previously mentioned cast members I mentioned before, like Simu Liu, um, uh, um, Don Cheadle. You get the idea. But of course, while that is going on, we get introduced to Billy and Tommy. We see what their day to day life is like. However, however, Billy has always been bullied some, for some time in his life, and also, well, Tommy is just the cool kid that just likes to, brag and neither of them know that they are twins. And of course, as you can see right here in this beautiful piece of text that I did, basically it's a House of M inspired event. So so the opening of the movie simultaneously, like, we get simultaneously what's happening with the Avengers and the Scarlet Witch, while we get a nice opening with Wiccan and Speed. Of course, directed in the right hands, it'll be somewhat of an something amazing, but of course, then we get into the very tricky part, and that is what the hell is the Phase 4 timeline? Well, just to give you like a brief rundown of what my version of the Phase 4 timeline is that Falcon and Winter Soldier takes place after Endgame. So does WandaVision, which means well, WandaVision would take place over a couple of weeks. So would Falcon and Winter Soldier. Loki also takes place after Endgame, when Loki escaped, creating a variant Loki, not the same Loki we know. But hey, well, well, you know. And also, I would have to also presume that that Far From Home takes place after Endgame, but not really, considering that it takes place during the summer. However, we can loop by that if we assume that Endgame takes place in 2030, in 2023 April, the same month the movie released. So we could get by that loophole. Now, of course, Peter is Peter's adventure takes place across multiple months, and then in 2024 we get Multiverse of Madness. Well, that's in the timeline, and I want to pause there, and that's where Eternals takes place. Also, you have Shang-Chi off in his own little adventure. Also during the fall, but we won't get into specifics too much. Eternals is where I don't know where the hell it was placed in the timeline. So of course, also we have Miss Marvel, and I guess you could say that it takes place during the end of the school year. Also, Moon Knight could just take place over the course of Phase 4. I mean, like, yet again, he's off in his own little la la land, literally and figuratively. So, my pretties, where does Wiccan and Speed take place? Well, Eternals had the inconsistency of being the only MCU movie to not specifically state when it takes place. Wakanda Forever could take place during the events of Multiverse of Madness, but yet again, it'd be set in its own little world, separated from Doctor Strange's adventures. Also, I have to mention where Thor: Love and Thunder takes place. And considering that New Asgard is busy and a hot vacation spot, I would have to say it takes place during June, considering that there are many happy tourists during this time. And then there comes the placement of Wiccan and Speed. Well, as you can see right here in the other beautiful text, well, it takes place between No Way, basically in between No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness. But of course, this would be more evident so by Doctor Strange appearing just momentarily to discuss that Billy and Tommy's origins, and also this time, if you did not watch my Fixing Multiverse of Madness playlist, which you should, and please do, it will really help this channel. Um, uh, well, I mean, like he would of course take accountable responsibility for Wanda. However, he would have his hands full with Peter and the current multiverse reckoning that's going on. Of course, at the beginning of the movie, when the Scarlet Witch fully loses it and then goes missing for what we can assume is days, probably weeks. I want this to take place at the same time when He Who Remains is killed, the same time that, well, basically same time as He Who Remains is killed, same time that Peter makes his wish to make everyone forget about that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And what else? Oh yes. This would also this would also this would also slowly awaken the population of Inhumans and mutants across the 616 universe. Of course, this means that we get characters such as well Miss Marvel, probably Wolverine, probably stuff like that. Oh, am I forgetting a show? Yeah, there is no possible way that She-Hulk would fit in the MCU timeline. It literally mentions events that I've already mentioned, but it morally takes so across all of Phase 4. Like, legitimately takes a dump on it. Yeah. That's probably going to be really loud for you guys, but still. We'll just say that She-Hulk takes place from Shang from when Endgame ended to around when Multiverse of Madness begins, give or take. Of course, Billy and Tommy figuring out that they have new powers. This attracts the attention of Sam Wilson, Captain America, and, well, basically it attracts the attention of, Sword, and of course Nick Fury himself. And then Monica Rambeau immediately recognizes the two and flashes back to WandaVision, where she met the two in the final episode. Of course, this would mean that Wanda had had literally summoned her kids back into existence. And then she also took into account what Wanda said about this is all for a good cause. This is all for a good cause of me getting my children back. Of course, then when Billy and Tommy figure out that the Scarlet Witch is their mother, well, then they're surprised, and they also figure out they're twins. Now, as we all know in the comics, Billy is a huge superhero fanatic. So figuring out that he is the son of probably one of the most powerful superheroes in the universe, scratch that, multiverse. Well, then it's bound to make him both nervous and, well, a bit excited. I want this to be the character arc of Billy and Tommy bonding over time. Basically a sibling storyline where the two basically accept that they are, well, twins, and also try to get their broken family back together. Of course, this would lead to some heart wrenching scenes, and also one hell of a tear-jerking finale. But of course, you know what that means. The search begins, and Wiccan and Speed get costumed up. Get costumed up. Well, costumed up. And and just to give you a visual aid, Tommy's Speed outfit would be more or less similar to his comics outfit, a green suit with silver with silver with silver lining down the sides of his chest and on his fingies, and of course orange goggles. However, Wiccan would take his first look, would take his first comic book, his first Young Avengers look, uh, the first official one. However, later in the movie, he would get a costume transformation, and well, you just wait, you pretties. I'll get to that soon. But of course, the adventure begins, and well, yeah. Also, I want there to be like a little joke in there where Speed names where Tommy and Billy where well Tommy names himself Speed and his brother Wiccan. Now, I don't know the meaning of the word Wiccan, but I'm pretty sure it's like a mystical name, probably like the name of a demon. Makes sense. Of course, they would also train. Wong would also suggest that they would train at the Sanctum. Billy would train at the Sanctum. Of course, this would lead to a short little training montage, and then of course the search begins with the two boys going out into the great wide world to find their mother. Of course, Wanda is under Chthon's control. However, the audience doesn't know that, and we are supposed to believe that, well, Wanda is a psycho and a murderer. A bloody murderer, I might say myself. but this but this does not mean that they will be alone. Like I said, Aaron Taylor Johnson will return as Pietro Maximoff, aka Quicksilver, and he gets resurrected during the House of M style event, and runs into Wiccan and Speed later down the line, and somehow remembers them, but recalls not encountering them in his lifetime. This would be the memories of the Quicksilver from the Hex in WandaVision. Of course, along the journey, they would find out more and more about their family history, and well, and also bond over time through some seriousness. And I want this journey to be taken seriously. Like, I don't want this to fall subject to Phase Four's jokes. Like, let this be one of the more serious ones. I mean, like, Shang-Chi was serious enough as it was. No Way Home took its synopsis seriously. I feel like Multiverse of Madness is when the characters started to become, well, cocky, but also Wanda gets well of course Wanda is very angry that that well Sword can't leave her alone and give her a break. So honestly, they well she decides to create two demon generals that are similar to her and Pietro, although different in appearance. Well, they're similar in appearance to her and Pietro, but more demonized, and basically what we'd expect if Satan were to possess Wanda and Pietro. Of course, they also figure out that Vision is their father, and during a brief scuffle with some of the underlings of Chthon sent by Wanda, they would the Vision would rescue them last minute, and then he would remember remember these these children that he had, and of course figured out that you get the idea. But of course, this is basically trying to be a serious movie where the main characters are just trying to reunite with a family. And honestly, I would stop at nothing to reunite my family. I mean, like, I would miss my mom, and I know you would too. You would miss your family. I mean, like, I want this to evoke family, but not in like the memeable sense where, I mean, like they, I mean, like Speed does even compliment that their journey does feel like the Fast and Furious movies, where it's all about family. I mean, like even the Shazam trailer, like Shazam: Fury of the Gods, is mocking Fast and Furious. I mean, like for as crazy as those movies are, god dang, they really, really like to cheese in the family plot. I don't want the family theme to be cheesy per se, but rather serious. Of course, wacky shenanigans, and of course a deterring goal. And getting encouraged. Wiccan, Wiccan, of course, decides to carry on thanks for some encouragement from his brother. Eventually, Wiccan and Speed find their mom, but it turns out that she's the one behind all this. Of course, they're reluctant to fight their own mother, but but Billy does suspect something suspicious is going on, and well, I would too if my mother was um a magical psychopath who wanted to destroy the multiverse. But anyways, they get into a brief scuffle that that is both mental and physical. Of course, with the two demons I mentioned earlier getting vaporized by Wiccan, who basically some basically summons the demiurge within him, and of course gets the costume upgrade I mentioned earlier. It'd be his 2013 look, but with inspiration from but with some elements of his Young Avengers look staying in there. Of course, then they would almost get their mom back with her even almost snapping out of the control that she's been possessed under. However, in a sacrifice where the multiverse is at stake, well, they sadly have to let her go. But 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 Billy and Tommy promise that they'll find her once again. While the mission is unsuccessful, they did manage to bring back some of what they of what they lost to begin with. Of course, the two need to take up headquarters, and decide to go someplace where it's safe. However, then in the meantime, they decide to defend the city, to defend the world, and to defend the world, and of course, become not Avengers, but young Avengers. But their big goal is to find Wanda, and they'll stop at nothing to find her. The movie ends, and of course, we roll the mid credits. However, where we usually stop there is, of course, a post credit scene, two to be exact. So, in the first post credit scene, we will have a Young Avengers tease where Wiccan and Speeds are setting up shop in the old Avengers Tower, and then Kate Bishop inter- is interested in them. Of course, Hawkeye would take place during the Christmas of 2023, uh, as I forgot to mention, but this would be after Hawkeye, and of course, would still be teasing, of course, teasing the Young Avengers. But this would also set up their appearance for Multiverse of Madness, where they start to hear monsters roaring, and Wiccan, and then they say they have to go, and then of course it all fades. We cut to black when they're just about to fight. However, the second post credit scene teases Chthon, of course, voiced by the talented Frank Welker. Of course, it would tease his bigger role in Multiverse of Madness, but in a piece of dialogue and an eventual tease shot, we see a familiar silhouette, Kang the Conqueror. And honestly, that's it. We did it. We wrote a full Marvel movie, and it only took me about a month. I mean, like, that's going to be hard to beat, but hey, I got an Indiana Jones and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania movie. By the way, just for update on them when I'm going to go see it, it's not going to be February 18th. It's going to be February 25th. But still, I'm still going to go see Quantumania. So don't you spoil me in the comments. And if we do eventually get Wiccan and Speed, and just like a little tease of what I have in store for my video about how Quantumania will end. I think it has something to do with these two fellas right here. But we need an outro. So you know what that means. Wacky transition powers activate! So, yeah, if you survive the transition, good for you. But anyways, that's how I, Nicholas David Borsky, aka Skrillboys TGD and Vids, would write a Wiccan and Speed movie, and I think it would have been better than the Eternals movie we got and had to suffer through. So, if you enjoyed this video, which I'm pretty sure you have, why don't you click that subscribe button? It helps me out a lot, and it also notifies YouTube that I exist. Also, why don't you also, I don't know, leave a like? It makes me happy. It gives me a thumbs up. And if you're also kind of generous, comment what you would do with a Wiccan and Speed movie, and would you enjoy it? And would you improve any? If there also, would you fix Eternals? I'm telling you, I wouldn't, because that movie is broken as it is. So goodbye, Eternals. Hello, Wiccan and Speed. But anyways, it's time for the famous outro line, and you probably already know it very well. Long live the Skrills. Bye bye. My hearties. See you in the next one.